Hey guys, so we just got back from a 1 week cruise to Alaska with our 9-month-old, and I just wanted to make a video sharing some of the information that I was wondering about when I was planning the cruise. So if you're thinking about doing a cruise with your baby, I hope this video could be useful to you. So we chose Alaska because it departs from Vancouver, which is where we live. So it was very quick and easy for us, no flights involved, no time changes, which is pretty much what we wanted for our first international trip with our baby. We chose Royal Caribbean not for any reason other than the fact that it was the best deal at the time. So we paid 4,600, I think it was, Canadian dollars for the three of us. Babies aren't generally free on cruises. Sometimes you can find deals, but they do count as a body, and ships can only have a certain amount of bodies, so they do usually charge for babies. I tried to look at the price breakdown. It looked like the baby was about $600 in this case. That was for a balcony room, which I do highly recommend, especially traveling with a baby, just because you're going to be spending a lot more time in the room than you otherwise would. Also, Alaska, so much of the cruise is about the views, so it's just so nice to have your own balcony if you're nap trapped or something going through a scenic area. And yeah, it's just nice to actually feel like you're on vacation when you're in your room, not just be stuck in some crappy room without even a window and just kind of waiting for your baby to wake up so you can go do something. So I would highly recommend splurging on a balcony room if you can do it. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on packing in this video. I think I'm going to make a separate video for that. I just don't want this video to be too long, but I will touch on some of the larger items just because those were things I was wondering about when considering the cruise. So first of all, car seat. I had seen kind of mixed reviews online as to whether or not a car seat was required. In our case, we took the SkyTrain to the port, so we did not need it for transiting to the cruise ship. And we weren't really set on any specific excursions, so we ended up just kind of planning them as we went, and we didn't do anything that specifically required a car seat. I know some of them do, like there was ones where you could go on like a Jeep or a 4x4 or something like that. Also, all three of our ports, there was a shuttle to get from the dock to the town, so I was concerned about that as well. But they were just the kind of buses where there's not even seatbelts, so you wouldn't have even been able to use a car seat if you had one. So long story short, you can definitely get by without a car seat as long as you're not set on any specific excursions, and also I guess depending on your travel to the port. So another thing that I was wondering about was feeding the baby. My baby was 9 months old at the time, so he was still breastfeeding and also had started solids. Also, he has some allergies, so I was a little bit concerned about finding food for him. So if you're pumping, unfortunately, I'm not really the person to ask about that. I will tell you that the room that we had did not have an actual fridge. There was something that looked like a fridge, but it said on it, this is a cooler, not a fridge, and it did not feel cold inside it. I feel your pain. I have traveled while pumping before. It's not easy. You have to bring a lot of stuff with you. I will offer you one tip. If you have one of these kind of 4-ounce Yeti bottles or something similar, it can fit 2 of those little Medalla milk storage bottles in it. I have done that while traveling before and then just filled it with ice around it, and it stayed cool all day. As far as food, there's either the buffet or the main dining room. The buffet, of course, you can just take whatever you think is suitable for your baby. The main dining room, they were actually very helpful. They made us anything that we asked for. They can make you purees for your baby. We just kind of asked for soft steamed veggies, fruits. They were very helpful, and I felt comfortable even with his allergies that the food would be safe for him. Also, you're allowed to bring any sort of packaged foods or snacks for your babies. They don't even question it, so you can bring whatever you want in that regard. Next was the crib. So if you request one, they do provide a travel crib for you. We were given a full-size Graco pack and play. I did talk with some of the other moms on the ship. It sounds like they got different ones than me. Someone said they actually got a mini pack and play and their baby barely fit in it. They had to sleep kind of diagonally. Someone got like an off-brand pack and play. So if you're set on a specific one, you could consider bringing one, but you definitely don't have to. I would just call and confirm that you're for sure getting one, because I have heard that it's possible for them to run out. And also we did bring our own sheet just because we wanted to make sure we had a properly fitting sheet for it. So as far as just being on the ship in general with your baby, there is a nursery for ages 0 to 3 where you can use for either child minding or just open play. Ours was open play every day from 12 to 6, where you could just go let your baby interact with other babies, play with the toys. We never actually used the child minding feature, but it was $6 per hour during the day and $8 per hour in the evening. They did recommend booking ahead of time just because apparently it fills up quite quickly. Also, another neat feature they had was you could rent a bag of toys for completely free for the length of the trip. You could switch them out whenever you wanted to. So we did spend a lot of time playing with those toys in our room because we didn't really pack any toys. So that was really nice as well. One thing to know is, again, this isn't just Royal Caribbean, I think this is most cruise lines. They do not allow babies that are not toilet trained in any of the pools. Although I believe some of the ships in the Caribbean have kind of like a splash pad area for babies. But on our ship, they did have a children's pool, but babies still weren't allowed in it. Of course, on our cruise, it wasn't really about going in the pool, so that was fine with us, but just so you know. So as far as the port days, our ship stopped in Sitka, Juneau, and Haines. In Sitka, I just did a walking tour that I had just downloaded myself on All Trails. A similar one through the ship cost around $130 per person, so we just kind of did our own. It took us past the main sites along the waterfront and ended up at the Raptor Center where they had all kinds of eagles, owls, and other large birds. Our baby absolutely loved it. There's also something called Fortress of the Bear where they have, I think, just brown bears, maybe grizzlies. We didn't actually end up going to that because we have a lot of bears where we live, so it wasn't really anything that exciting for us, but I would think a baby would enjoy that too. Juneau was probably our favorite day of the trip. We ended up taking the blue bus out to the Mendenhall Visitor Center, which we just booked on the dock. It was $60 per person, which is actually quite expensive for what it was. It was only about a 20-minute drive each way. Again, it was just a shuttle style bus. There wasn't even any seat belts, so even if you had a car seat, you wouldn't be able to use it. Although maybe if you had a car seat, you could just take a cab for cheaper than what we paid for that. At the visitor center, it was gorgeous. Views of the glacier, the lake. We did a short hike to Nugget Falls. That was for sure one of my favorite parts of the trip. Then we also ended up spontaneously booking a helicopter tour just when we got off the ship. There was a really good deal. It was $379 per person. Baby was free. If we had booked the same thing on the ship, it would have been about $600 per person. So I think we got a really good deal. They said babies do that tour all the time. And again, he loved it. We were only on the glacier for about 30 minutes, but it was still super fun and nice. Haines was absolutely pouring rain, so to be honest, we probably only spent about an hour and a half off the ship. We just did a quick stroller walk around town. Even if the weather hadn't been that bad, there honestly wasn't much to do in that city. I would recommend maybe booking something like a whale watching tour for that day, just to see a bit more than we ended up seeing. One other thing that I forgot to mention earlier is the cruise ship had nightly live entertainment and shows, which you can definitely bring your baby. It's not strict at all. You can just come and go as you please. Everyone's just kind of coming and going. We saw other babies there. One night there was a juggler that was juggling all kinds of like light up balls and pins and stuff with all kinds of sound effects and bright lights. Our baby loved that. He was clapping and laughing the whole time. There was like a Broadway singing show, a comedian, of course he got a little bored during that, but you can for sure bring your baby to the shows as well. So overall, those are just kind of the main things I was wondering about when I was planning the trip. If there's anything else you're wondering about, feel free to ask any questions. Overall, I guess all three of us had an amazing time. We highly recommend it to anyone. I would say it may be the most relaxing trip you could take with a baby. Well, I guess a resort trip would be similar, although then you have to deal with flights and maybe a time change. Another thing is we kind of took turns giving each other a bit of time away from the baby. Like my husband was kind enough to let me sleep in 2 of the mornings since I deal with most of the night wakings. And then he also let me kind of go to the pool and the hot tub. Well, I shouldn't say let me, but was kind enough to watch the baby so I could. And he also wanted to do the all access tour where you go through all the engine rooms and stuff on the ship, so he did that on his own. We did some meals on our own, I guess, just quick meals in the buffet. So yeah, overall we had an amazing time and I would highly recommend it to anyone. And I'll go into a little bit more detail in my packing video of just what I think you should bring to have a successful trip with the baby. But thank you so much for watching.